in the end, of course, Kamala Harris became a lawyer, where that was also important to her. And you can see that in her time as when she was district attorney, because she was both tough on the one hand, very much trying to increase conviction rates for major crimes, coming down on for-profit colleges that were profiteering off students, coming for the housing sector for companies that were profiteering off people, but also pragmatic in that she was trying to boost rehabilitation programs for non-violent offenders. So you can see that's that kind of streak of tough but pragmatic, and always using logic to build an argument, not just relying on emotion. And that's very much been a vein through her childhood and through her professional career as a prosecutor. And you can see it in the way that she's running her campaign now for president.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, her mother was a biomedical scientist. In terms of the contrast, though, as you say, you've sort of mentioned some of them there, but in terms of the economic thinking, tax breaks for small business, but then potentially tougher on competition issues. How should we think about Harris's potential stewardship of the US economy?
Well, it's interesting because everyone's trying to work out how she'd be different or similar or the same as Joe Biden. But as you say, she's a study in contrast when it comes to economic policy, and she's been deliberately a little bit obtuse about some of it. And that's probably while she's out on the campaign trail. But we know that, she probably will be more pro-regulation of big companies. She could come on the antitrust side, and that could find her on the back foot, even with some of her own Democrats. And certainly big business is looking at her thinking, is she going to be very tough on us in terms of regulation and the antitrust aspect? But equally, she's really cast her campaign or economic policies a little bit different from Joe Biden, more around small business and helping first homeowners, small businesses, people get, on the ladder economically. And that's really about her bid to appeal to the middle class in America as part of this election. And she sees that again, I think, about that issue of fairness. You want to help everybody have a chance to succeed in society, but also you want to watch the top end of town.
Now, part of what's so intriguing about this piece of reporting is that we've heard relatively little from Kamala Harris since she became the nominee. She's done quite few interviews. Is that a strategy? What do we sort of think about that strategy, and is that something that might change as we get closer to the election?
Well, it has allowed her to be a bit of a chameleon on the campaign. I mean, she's been out campaigning pretty much every day, but she's mostly been going and talking to people versus talking to the media. She does a lot of stops where she goes and talks to people on the road, giving very few interviews because, if you tie yourself into an interview, you tie yourself into a policy position, and that can be dangerous on the campaign trail. She does seem to want to give herself a lot of room, if she were to become president, to craft policy and not be bound into promises she's made in a rush on the campaign trail. So it seems to be a deliberate strategy. As our story notes, in a way, she's campaigning like she's the front runner.